Good morning. Sunday, 16th of August, and it's about 10 past 6 in the morning. Just got home from work. 2 days off. So, time to relax. The only problem is, the 2 days off soon go, as anybody who knows who works, and it's some time to go back to work. But, that's life. So, got a couple of jobs to do tomorrow, but today is just going to be sort of a day of relaxing. Got to nip down to shop later on, do some shopping, come back, go to bed, get up, have some tea, and then tonight, the Sunday night tradition, me and Joe Kersey on Skype, talking, can be anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, depending on what sort of subjects we're getting onto. I've actually not brought it in, but I'm going to fetch it in a second. On my last video, talking about the beers going down well, and I've got a lager kit. It's called the Hammer of Thor, and it's arrived. And I forgot to bring it in, but it's just in the dining room here, 2 secs. Oh. Made a slight boo-boo the other day. I thought, I'll start it off. So I filled the beer fermentation bucket up ready. Came down at night and I thought, so it looks odd here. Realised I filled it up with hot water and I'm putting a sterilising solution in. So, there it is. The Hammer of Thor. And what you get in it is, like the malt and stuff. That's got to be put in warm water to loosen up. Tip it in and then rinse it out with water. Then you have some hot pellets. This is added about 4 to 7 days after you start it. It adds flavour. Then of course the important thing, the yeast. So I've got a bucket in soap, and yes, I have remembered to put the sterilising solution in. So I'll probably start that a bit later on. Just want to say, just let me keep your shoes off. Oh, it's nice to keep your shoes off when you get home. Should have done it before I started. Oh, there. Oh, that feels good. Been an interesting week. A couple of days finished early. And that's what the main subject of today is. Finished early the other day. Thursday morning. Hang on. Not yesterday morning, which would have been the Saturday morning, the Friday morning. Sorry, the Friday morning. Thursday night, Friday morning. Got home just after about 4, I think it was. And I sort of sat there and I thought, what do I do? Didn't particularly want to watch TV, so I put some music on. And what I listened to was a recording of Leonard Bernstein's The Mass. A theatrical piece for singers, players and dancers. And it gives a bit of description on the back. Mass, a theatre piece for singers, players and composers, conducted by the composer, text from the liturgy of the Roman Mass, additional text by Stephen Schwartz and Leonard Bernstein, created for the opening of the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. Don't know when that was, but it's saying this was done in 1971. Beautiful music, beautiful thing. Leonard Bernstein, fantastic composer and arranger. What most people will probably have heard of, but probably don't know he dealt with, was the West Side Story. Talked about the Romeo and Juliet the other day, but this is the Romeo and Juliet with the gangs. And he composed the music for it, and Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics. He's also quite notable because he did an arrangement of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, which is very brilliant, very fantastic. Oh, sublime. It is. It is. That dee 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 and all that. Oh, brilliant. And he conducted it and he rearranged it, but it's still classed as Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. But he did this. And what got me thinking of is, I would class it as classical music. Some people would not class it as classical music, but as theatre. So we're going to have a bit of general discussion. What classical music is. I will tell you now, this is my opinions. I'm not an expert on music. I'm not a music teacher. It's only my personal opinions. A lot of people, when you say classical music, they think of Bach, Mozart, Handel, Haydn, Verdi, Fauré, Wagner. Coming into the 20th century, people like Vaughan Williams, Walton, Taverner. In some respects, he's classed as a classical musician. I've heard some of Taverner's stuff, and I'm not impressed with it. But people class them as the greats of classical. Oh, Britain. Britain as in the name, not Britain as in the country, but Britain. Class them all as classical composers. And I go, yeah, fair enough, yes, they are. I've got no doubt in that. But what we class is classical music. I was talking to somebody and they said, oh, it's a continuous piece of music. And I went, fine, yeah, okay then. But what style? And he couldn't answer. And so we're going to generally discuss this. That says Bernstein's, the master class as classical music. It's one continuous piece of music, broken up into songs, but basically one. It isn't like somebody stood there. It's not musical as in West Side Story, where you have a lot of people talking and then they burst into song, or Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, My Fair Lady, etc. It's, in some respects, a modern opera. With it being a modern opera, when we heard the word opera, we automatically think of classical music. Now, if you're talking about one continuous piece of music, what about things like Jesus Christ Superstar? That's classed as a rock opera. So, all because it's a rock opera, is it classical music? Phantom of the Opera, Evita. All these, you watch them and you think, oh yeah, you know, there's a few songs, but actually they are one continuous music. In Evita, there is actually some asides done by Shay. There was a film done by Madonna a few years ago. It was very good. I've got no qualms about it, but if you want to see the proper show, go and see the proper show. It missed a lot of the humour out in the film, and a lot of the film humour comes from Shay talking to the audience, which wasn't done in the film, so a lot of that was missed out. But that's done over the music. Would you class them as classical music? You then have to go on to things like the prog rock. I've talked about it before. I've got Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. Again, continuous piece of music, mostly. Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Centre of the Earth. There's, I would say heavy rock. I don't particularly want to class them as all that heavy. Rush, 2112. This great music. People class them as classic albums. Is it classical music? So I decided to look in the dictionary. And we've got the Collins English Dictionary. And it says classical. It talks about classical literature and stuff like that. But it talks about music. And it says A, in a style or form, a period marked by stability of form, intellectualism and restraint. What? Denoting serious art or music in general. Denoting serious art or music in general. Most songwriters and composers take their music seriously. So if the Collins English Dictionary is saying classical music is anything that's written in a serious vein, you can start getting into very awkward situations. Spice Girls, probably they took their music serious. Would we class it as classical music? No. So when does classical music become classical? It's a very difficult situation. I've got music here written by modern composers. I've talked about it before. Carl Jenkins and Amos. This is a beautiful orchestral music, beautiful singing, until you actually try to find the translation of the words. And actually, the words are a load of rubbish. The made-up language. But it's been classed as classical music. Most people think classical music finished in about 1950s. So where does that leave us now? There's albums classed as classic albums. But would you class them as classical music? Some of them have got great songs in them. You have to look at like Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. The first song is this great opera type song. He wrote it because he said he's heard a lot of music dealing with car crashes, but he wanted to write the great song of the motorcycle accident. Some of the imagery in it, about the heart bursting out the chest like a bat out of hell, that's what made it a classic album. It's been in the charts now since it was written. It's been in the UK Top 100 since it was written. So that what makes it a classic album. But is it classical music? My opinion of classical music is something that you can get lost in. The mass I can get lost in. I can put on, there's 2 CDs, I can put on them and listen to them. I get totally lost in it. Bat Out of Hell I can't really do. They're the songs and I attempt to sing along to them. Adamus, this great made up language, different songs, great orchestration behind it. I would class that as classical music because of the form of it. Like I says, it's a difficult situation because at work the other day I put some music on. Adamus, modern music. What a load of crap. From somebody said. No, I turned it off because it was a load of rubbish. And I sort of thought to myself, well, yeah. My immediate reaction was, you Philistine. No. He doesn't like that type of music. To him, classical music is nothing but noise. Some of the youngsters there, they don't like classical music, but they like this hip hop and go away. And I sort of said to him, to me that's just noise. I do like the old composers, Mozart, Verdi, Wagner. But I do like the new composers as well. Carl Jenkins, Leonard Bernstein. If you come to it, Jeff Wayne, War of the Worlds. In some respects, a bit of an opera. Yeah, there's talking, but there's music in the background. It's a story. Journey to the Centre of Earth. It's a story. Again, I wouldn't particularly class them as classical music. To me, classical music has to be sung, no spoken. Bit of a rambling subject, because when it comes down to it, it's down to personal interpretations. To one person, is when you come to the classical composers as well. Some person that's, I can't stand, I'll be honest, I can't stand Mahler. Don't understand the music. To me, it's very dark, depressing. Makes me feel like slitting my wrists. I don't like it. But somebody else then will like Mahler, but won't like Mozart or Bach, who I do like. So even then, in the classical world, you have preferences to the style of music. In the end, it'd be quite interesting to hear from people who watch this blog, and I'm getting to about 20, 25 people, and not many people are leaving answers. What style of music they like when it comes to classical music, or what do they consider classical music? Do they think the classical music stopped in the 1950s? What do they think about, I mean, I've said it. Something like Phantom of the Opera, it's sung for 2 hours. Would somebody class that as classical music? Basically, it's a modern day opera. Or because it's written in modern language and modern tunes and modern instruments, does that make it less classical? What I'm going to do, and I would like to know this as well. A few videos, I put a couple of clips on, a couple of links to clips. I'm going to put a clip on to some of the music out of Mass, and probably to Damus, since we've talked about that. Do people appreciate that? Do people actually look at them? Quite interesting to get some sort of feedback from other people. But I think when it comes down to it, when it comes to classical music, it's like all type of music, it's a personal opinion. To me, there are some good writers today that produce some very fantastic work that can be hailed as classical music. And some of them may not be seriously classed as classical music. But then again, who decides? Is there somebody in an ivory tower there that says, oh, this is classical music, but that's not. That's classical music, but that's not. Or is classical music like a retrospect? Be interesting to get a couple of thoughts. Like says to me, if you do want to check this out, it's beautiful music. I will tell you now, the story basically is set in two worlds. The mass, split in two worlds, in a church and the outside, and how the stories mirror each other. The priest inside, going through the service, and the people outside going through their experiences. But in the church, things start to go wrong. And in some respects, towards the end, you think that the priest has begun basically having a nervous breakdown. But the music is fantastic. Some of the songs, one of the first songs, I sing God a simple song, louder, louder, sing it out and sing it. Brilliant, fantastic. So I'm going to put a couple of links on. Let me know if you like these links, if you look at them. Be interested. It's a bit of a weird subject today, because like I says, when it comes down to it, it comes to taste. But my taste is, I love this type of music. From Bach, not Mahler, Mendelssohn, to Mozart, to Leonard Bernstein, stuff like this, to Adamus, Carl Jenkins. It'll be quite interesting to see other people's opinions. Okie doke.